Okay, today we're flying the Kitfox again. Not that I particularly enjoy it, but because it might be an idea just to show you some of the things that differ between professional pilots who, if they crash, do thousands or hundreds of dollars worth of damage to their aircraft and may even kill themselves. And what simmers do, which was the sort of thing I did yesterday, which was to crash the aircraft into the ground and then walk away and make a cup of tea. So this is one of the principal differences between simmers or gamers and professional pilots. So what we're doing at the moment is once again heading north from Stead Airport, once again in the Kitfox, and maybe this will sort of act as a mini review of this aircraft at the same time. Perhaps I'll demonstrate to you some of the things that I really dislike about it, as well as some of the things that I quite like. So the first thing I really like about it is, well, it's Kitfox, isn't it? And therefore it's a sort of iconic aircraft that everybody should have somewhere in their hangar or up on their system. There's absolutely no doubt about it, and there's no substitute for it. So that's the very first thing. And of course it's in this wonderful paint, and the Kitfox demo paint is very nice as well. And so externally the aircraft really is quite lovely. It's a really superb model. The slats and the elevators, everything is modelled absolutely perfectly, and even the tyres, not that we can see them from here, but the tyres are not new. They've actually got some dust on them, so they're modelled pretty well too. So yeah, it's a beautiful model, and I'm glad that I've got one. So what we're going to do is to just head on up here for a while and follow the road. Actually, I'm following the Kitfox today, and once again heading in the general direction of Trent Palmer's property. Now when we return inside, we'll start to go through some of the things that make professional pilots differ from us gamers, because, you know, we just whack the aircraft around expecting it to work straight out of the box, and they spend days with spanners and toolkits and talking to their friends and lifting and heaving and getting covered in muck and grime and all sorts of things in order to get a little bit of extra performance out of their aircraft, or even to keep it flying if it's had a problem. And when it is flying, of course, they really want to get to know it. So one of the first things they do is they take it up fairly high and they begin to experiment with the stall speed. Now I know you can look up the stall speed for an aircraft, and the manufacturer will tell you what it is, but that's not the same thing as actually feeling the aircraft drop away. And what an aircraft should do when it stalls is it should dip a wing and begin to go into a spin or something that will require some degree of recovery. We're not quite there yet. I think we're doing about just under 40 miles an hour at the moment. It's feeling like going. I can sense it, but it's still behaving fairly well. Indeed, it hasn't stalled at all yet. Our speed is... that's not our speed. That's not our speed either. Let's see if we could line up a bit better. We're under 30. We're under 35 miles an hour. We don't want to get too close to those mountains. And of course we're flying, we're flying with no flaps. So that's actually really quite impressive for this aircraft. And it gives me a little bit more confidence about actually landing it on Trent Palmer's plot before he built his house there. Now we're really quite high, so we need to lose some of this height. And the problem with losing height is as the height goes down, the speed tends to go up. So once we've dropped out of the sky, we're then going to have to do something to be able to reduce speed again. Because if you go in like this, going in hot, you're almost certainly going to overshoot whatever it is you're aiming to land upon. I have a feeling that we are already north of Trent Palmer's property, but I'm not 100% certain. So we'll just proceed up here a little bit further, and if we are, then we'll turn around and come back the other way. Yeah, we are. Anyway, it's a lovely day for having a cruise around in the Nevada countryside. I suppose his countryside's the right word. I think he said it was a desert once in one of his videos. It seems to have a lot of settlements on it for a desert, but still. Anyway, let's just head back down here. It may not seem that we're going very fast, but 60 miles an hour at this kind of height can still seem pretty speedy, especially if you're thinking of landing somewhere. Now the plan today is not to just go sweeping in and attempt to make a landing, but rather to overfly and try and scope out the very best place. I'm not sure that landing on the road as I did last time was a very good idea, especially with cars moving up and down it, even flying cars. Clearly somebody had been studying Harry Potter. Okay, so we've just gone past it, I believe. So we're going to head round, applying a little bit of extra throttle, just because I don't want to stall into anything on the other side, but I'm going to let it off. Immediately I see where I'm going, and you can see immediately ahead, this is where the runway actually is. And I think what's happened is that they just carved out the runway along this cleft in the trees. A bit low. That's a stall warning, by the way. See, on the top there is this flat place, and that's where his house actually is, which is quite useful to know. Let's apply 1 degree of flat and get ourselves out of this mess. So my plan now is to come round again and eschew the road and also the place where the runway is, and try and come in very short on the top of the hill and see if we can get ourselves down. There's no promises, but it would be nice to manage to achieve this. And then perhaps we'll have a look at some of the properties of this aircraft. Because I think once you see them, you'll agree with me that something needs adjusting. But the aircraft's actually flying very well. It's not as quirky as I thought it was. So hats off to big Tyre Productions for giving us this wonderful machine. Well, they didn't actually give it to us, I paid for it, but I guess you know what I mean. Okay, so I'm going to lose as much speed as we can. I'm going to put some flaps on. I think what's become the runway was once a fire break, perhaps. It's something like that. Our problem is going to be that we're going to be coming in a bit too high, probably. No, maybe not. There she is. We bounced, but we're down. So here we are in Trent Palmer's backyard. So it is possible to land the Freedom Fox here with or without a runway, and I'm sure this is something that Trent Palmer never attempted in the real Freedom Fox. So anyway, before I switch everything off, let's just have a look at one of the major irritations I have with this aircraft in this configuration. I'll just turn around slightly. Okay. I'm going to Avionics off, fuel pump off. I wouldn't have had that on anyway. Nav lights off, strobe lights off, master battery off. Now the question is, where are the magnetos? What's this here? That doesn't do anything. Well, there you are, you see. The Avionics back on again. Even though the avionics are off, this set of avionics are on. So there are various different weird things with it. I'm trying to remember how to switch the engines off without touching a switch. I've just switched the avionics back on again, it would appear. The throttle will work, but I wouldn't advise using it for flying. Anyway, let's come out and go back to the main menu. And once we're in the main menu, you'll see that this Kitfox is in our hangar. So we'll take a quick look at it there. Okay, so here it is. And as I say, it's beautifully modelled from the outside, as you can see. It's a really nice paint job. And there's some discoloration on the tyres, which is also really quite wonderful. It's very nice. And if you look around, everything is like crispy clear. There's no diffusion whatsoever. But if you look at the perspex, you'll see that there is quite a lot of diffusion. And so if we now go inside the aircraft, you can see that these cones, which normally are in focus, are now out of focus. And I really think that it's a shame, because it detracts from the flying experience, because you can't really see quite as clearly where you're going as you might. You know, I'm all for modelling perspex and modelling a little bit of wear on perspex. It adds to the realism, but this seems to be slightly overdone. And I'll just give you an example. I'm going to change the aircraft now from, well, before I do that, I'll just show you the other livery. This is the default livery for the Kitfox, and this is like the Kitfox demonstrator, which is exactly the same model. It has exactly the same slats and other equipment. But once again, it also has this extra diffusion on the perspex, which you know, I don't like that much. So if I'm going to change the aircraft now to something else, and let's have a quick look at another bush plane. This is a bush plane that comes with the most expensive edition of this flight simulator. It's the Zlin Shock Ultra. I really like this, and once again it's got the tyres modelled with a certain amount of wear on them. But the moment we look through the perspex on this aircraft, you can see that although there's some diffusion, it's a lot clearer than what we were looking at with the Kitfox. This is a very nice aircraft to fly. I tend to use it quite a lot, and I probably will use it in preference to the Kitfox for bush flights. So anyway, that's really all I have to say about the Kitfox model. It's as if it's incomplete, really. The X-Plane model offers you the tricycle version. It offers you the standard tail dragger version with the small wheels. It offers you the bush wheeled version. In this version, you only get the bush wheeled versions, and you only get 2 deliveries. So it's almost like not a full model, but at least you can fly the Kitfox in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I'll make another one for you very soon. Thank you for watching.